ready?
Yes!
Did you get your passport though?
Introducing a brand new companion for LARPers across the world, the LARP Passport. LARP Passport is a mini journal made to document your LARP adventures. Immortalize your beloved characters, relive memorable moments, collect keepsakes, gift custom stickers, and reflect on your experiences, preserving the magic of your journey long after the final scene fades. Crafted by enthusiastic LARPers, this pocket-sized journal was made to be a faithful companion for capturing your greatest LARP adventures and remembering all the friends you made along the way. Inside each passport, you can find 15 full-spread journal entries to record the details of your event, your character, game summary, emotional ups and downs, key takeaways, and highlights you want to remember. Track up to 20 LARPs at a glance with LARP Log, and have fun with custom templates like LARP Bucket List, Hall of Fame, LARP Bingo, and more. LARP Passport has been designed as a post-LARP ritual for personal reflection. Use the prompts provided to jot down your thoughts, feelings, and insights. Whether you're new to LARP or a veteran, this journal is made for you. The LARP Passport's compact size, just like a real passport, makes it easy to carry with you. Slip it into your pocket and you're ready to share it with your friends wherever your adventures take you. Every page tells a tale, and every memory becomes a treasure. Celebrate the stories, characters, and bonds that make LARPing truly magical.
Join us on the journey and start your LARP Passport today.
Hello, and welcome to another session of LARP Stories, the official live stream of the LARP Passport, an amazing mini journal for LARPers and by LARPers, so that everybody can document their LARP adventures, or maybe other adventures too, I don't know.
Potentially the last even.
Ooh. The last stream, you're gonna say? No, I like doing this. Maybe we'll continue, but it's definitely the last. It's the last stream for the duration of the campaign, and that's something we should mention to whoever is watching and is excited about getting one, because you got 2 more days left. So do not delay. Get your LARP Passport now before June 29th, because our campaign or backer kit will end. And in fact, I will share the link to the campaign in the chat so everybody can know where to find it.
Yeah, and we're really close to hitting our goal.
We are.
85%.
We're going to show a few things around. Yeah. In the meantime, maybe we can briefly introduce what on earth is this LARP Passport. Once again, for the people randomly watching this stream series starting from this particular video. Jennifer, why don't you go ahead and do that, because you are the mama of the LARP Passport. She hates it.
For those who don't know, LARP Passport is a mini journal to help you document your LARP adventures. It is perfect for, well, frequent LARPers or LARPers who wish to reflect and keep their memories with them after their adventures. So whether you're new or a veteran, It's a nice accessory to have. You can collect stamps from your organizer or signatures from your co-players, and maybe you just want to remember a specific scene that has really changed something for you. You can do that easily with the LARP Passport.
Great introduction. You've seen a little bit how the LARP Passport looks from our introduction video. We're gonna show some pages live here as well, so we can get you more and more excited. But we also have a guest today. Like
Yes.
every week, we have a very special guest every week, and this week's guest is also very, very special.
No exception there.
Yeah, no exception there. Yeah. So, each week, I think we're focusing on a kind of a different theme. This week, we're focusing on I think the more targeted theme. Like the previous ones were more directly related to LARP organizers. This one, we have a privilege because he's or Gijs, or you can also introduce yourself pronouncing your name more properly than I can with my extremely limited Dutch, has the very specific expertise of combining LARP with learning. So I'm really excited to hear more about that. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, well, thank you. And guys is a very good way. I will listen to guys as in, hey guys, which I sometimes also just listen to random people shouting to a group of people, hey guys. But if you want to do it in Dutch or Dutch sounding, that it's Gijs. And actually, we have even in our own country, we have two different ways of pronouncing, which is Gijs and Gijs. So even we don't agree, so you don't have to agree. I listen to everything remotely resembling it. So a bit about me. This is my ceiling.
Ooh.
We have a caller.
Oh, you want to answer that on video? It's
Wait, so what was that ceiling? Was it like balls stuck up there, like balloons?
Yes. No, these are over 3,000 ball pit balls. So like the thing that you have at McDonald's or IKEA. And I once did a speaking gig about playing, but it was during Corona. So everybody had to sit 1.5 meters apart and was not allowed to move. And I thought, how on earth am I going to be playful if nobody can move? So I bought those and I had people play with them and really brought out the playfulness, even though they all had one buttock on the seat the entire time. But what do you do? And I think this is why I want to share this to say people who I am. What do you do when you have 1,000 ball pit balls? Well, of course, I mean, you put them on your ceiling. And in my case, I think of that, but I'm here on the stream, but sitting over there, maybe visible one time, is my partner, Anna, and everything that we think of, she can actually make. So I had the idea of putting them on the ceiling, and then she spent 2 weeks actually doing that. So when I introduce myself, I'm also introducing her, Anna or Anne van Barningen, and together we have Live Action Learning, which is the name of our company, but most importantly, the name that we give the method of learning from LARP in the broadest sense of the words, whether it's educational or in professional sense, or just you as a player doing a LARP and then afterwards thinking, okay, what did I learn from this? That is what we call Live Action Learning.
Amazing. Live action learning. So it's obviously drawn from the first 2 words of live action role play, but you combine it with learning. So tell us more about what is LAL. No, you never abbreviate it, do you? I just realized why not.
And the first idea that we have for a name, and one that we're working towards when we feel confident enough that we are that, is the Live Action Learning Institute, LALI. And that is just a fun abbreviation, LALI. You can't help but smile when you say LALI. So, but we thought it was a bit arrogant to, like, if we start out with the two of us, immediately call ourselves an institution. But in a couple of years, when we've done enough, like high impact things in the world, then we'll definitely move towards the institute, because that's what we want to be. We want to help bring LARP as a method of learning into the world. And actually, I'll tell you a little secret, because for you it's very apparent that live action learning is live action and then learning instead of role play. But usually when we talk to non-LARPers, for like in boardrooms with people who think they're very important, we say, well, you know, live action learning, it's like action learning, which is learning by doing, but we just do it live with imagination. And in that way, that the LARPers know that, oh no, we're going to LARP, and the non-LARPers are not immediately threatened and backing down, because it's action learning, and that's like a very viable field of research that they know and trust.
I'm sure you get asked this quite a bit in terms of how you define live action learning. How would you say it is differs from other forms of experiential learning?
We don't have a definition per se, because it is fluid, and like even trying to come up with LARP, we did a scientific article with Matja Sarjandi about LARP for leadership development, and we did a whole piece about defining what makes leadership development a LARP for leadership development. And the only thing that works that we could came up with is if the people making it call it a LARP. Because we found things that for us are obviously a LARP, but the people making it didn't know it was a LARP, so they didn't call it that. And then we found things, like even from ourselves, that we would call a LARP, but if we look at any type of metric or definition that's been put forward over the years by the LARP community, actually it wasn't, but we called it that. So actually there's no way to exactly delineate where LARP starts and other parts sits. Having said that, for me, it's when emotion comes into play, emotion and identity. So when you play a game, like a serious game or a board game, there's no role in there, so that's not LARPing. But when you play a management game or a simulation game and people just say, oh, you are now the manager, that might still not be like identity or emotion in there. But when you say you are Chris, the manager, who's had a tough day, and you are now trying to deal with your team, then for me it becomes a LARP. Then it crosses into being a LARP and playing a role and having that role be meaningful for you.
That is very interesting, and I think we've talked about this some in our previous live streams. Like especially does something like an MUN, like a model UN, where people in person kind of, is this a LARP? What about an improv setting where like people are improving for each other for like a long form? It is very interesting because there are no, as you said, no real lines. I did want to ask though, you did bring like when emotion and investment comes into it. What do you think about then other forms of like role-playing games, like RPGs, for example, without the active like doing element and acting it out as yourself? Would you categorize them in the same group?
Yes and no. They have a tabletop roleplay has some advantages because it's easier to do different stuff, because you're not limited by doing the stuff in your actual body, so you're able to make different worlds in a quicker way, and you're able to like pretend you're doing stuff that you normally can't. So that's why tabletop might be more interesting also to use as a learning method, because you can go more out there. But for me, the physical, or the embodied part of LARP is that for us is one of the most important aspects. Actually, you playing it out. Whenever we do something, the embodied part embodiedness has to be a part of it. Like it's your body also. It's not you learning from a book or you listening to a teacher. No, it's you with your entire body changing the way that you sit, the way that you stand, the way that you speak. And that is why it is a better way of learning for us compared to a lot of traditional learning. But whether you use tabletop or they both have advantages. I'm not one to say like we have the best one. Of course we have the best one, but like everything has its purpose.
Yeah, we could probably go very deep into different people's learning styles and how perhaps one is more like cognitive focused, and whereas the embodied aspect makes it that you can engage people more on different levels. I also just wanted to share, because the let's say the origin inspiration for the LARP Passport came during a LARP training, and one of the questions that was often discussed is like, okay, LARP, LARP, and a lot other non-LARP, and some funny conclusions, sort of almost like a confession from the training organizers, was that to them, really, there is no differentiation. But of course, in writing projects and describing to non-LARPers, they want to know, okay, this is the more, the serious kind, especially if it involves grant money and, just, but learning, it's like, when do we not learn? It's that kind of question, because sometimes even when we're not actively learning, we are somewhere in the learning cycle, maybe just processing what we've learned before digesting the insights. And that is still sort of part of the journey, and it's similar perhaps with LARP, that but maybe actually a good differentiation is the reflection, what makes a learning experience a learning experience. And before we started this live stream, we kind of already shared and gotten to know each other a little bit, but I was talking about the cold learning cycle, and we said we'll circle back to it during the live stream. So I think a really powerful thing that, let's say, the LARP Passport offers, which is something that actually I wanted, which is why I even came up with the idea and wanted feedback from the community, if they shared the same desire to have a rather efficient way to do self-reflection after a really intense, transformative, immersive experience. And thanks to everyone that was so enthusiastic during the training, many were educational, let's say, professionals and learning experience designers or game designers. They all resonated with this need, and over many, let's say, coffee breaks, the first prototypes was made, and it was tested. So maybe just to bring it back to what makes LARP and educational LARP is, especially in your context, needing to facilitate it to people that are very foreign to LARPing, right, in the organization, or even leadership trainings. I think you're bridging even a wider gap, and having structured methods to help them kind of bridge that gap, I could see that would be really helpful. And maybe I even want to ask some questions to you, how you do that currently. And I see that you already you're ready to answer my question.
I got this one. Is one I used yesterday. No, this one was from last week. Because it doesn't look as fancy as the LARP Passport, but basically for us this is like the training passport when we do a serious LARP, when we do a live action learning with people. Like we have them jot down. It's in Dutch. Very sorry, but like the name of their character, the quality that they want to learn. We give them a little bit of an update about what is how to use Alibi for them to play. But mostly, like we have a bit of a debrief. Here it is, like a debrief, like, oh, what were your best moments, and like what is one of the things that you're going to take away. And I love that Antonis is now showing that, because I thought we're already doing the same thing. I mean, this is just like one sheet of paper folded in half, and and this is like, oh, like it's so shiny, I want it, give me the shiny.
But yeah, the fact that we both, like, individually ended up to noticing and focusing on the same needs, I think, like, it shows how important those things are. for the debriefing and reflection part.
Yeah, and what I really like about the LARP Passport, and what we're definitely going to think about, is that this is an individual thing that we give to each participant individually, but you've managed to make it into a community thing. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. That you, like, with the stickers and with, like, a passport is something that you have to show to others. Like, I remember when I was backpacking, when you meet other backpackers, you show the stamps, it's like a little bit of status symbol, like, oh, I went to Laos, Vietnam, and it's like, look at my stamps from all my entries. And it was like this communal thing about, oh yeah, like it's something that binds us together. And traveling to different, like, worlds and dimensions as we do, I absolutely love it that you put that into something that we can share, and then also put in space for what you say, for signatures of other people, so that for stickers that they can share. So it's not only your passport, it's something that you make together. And I know that a lot of people have like a little the cabinet at their home with like LARP memorabilia, or like or maybe it's just like a box somewhere hidden away. But this is so lovely to just keep around and just to like look at and like, oh yeah, that was that. And then we're not even talking about the learning part. Then we're just talking about like the fondness and the remembering and the community part of it.
Yeah, I think Jennifer tried to emulate exactly that feeling that you described when she first came up with the idea. And then, yeah, we all added little bits and pieces, but it's mostly Jennifer's work, just to be clear.
No, but it's so nice to hear it from someone else that kind of that caught the vision, and is excited about it. So I was like, oh wow, it brings me back to how it all started. And indeed, the fond memory of the shared so some LARPs are really funny to remember, or very, very hard, that you had to collectively suffer through. And I know quite a few of those, and it's a sort of a badge of honor to have been through that together. And it would be very nice, and also my future vision, that certain LARPs, especially for instance chamber LARPs, get rerun across the world, because they work so well and people are excited to play them. But what if these LARPs, chamber LARPs, had their own stamps, or LARP organizations that they have a reputation of certain types of LARPs that they always do, and people are excited to go to more of their LARPs. So
it would be lovely if you go to the Smoke or the Stockholm Scenario Festival, or like any of the short LARP festivals, that like we can collect that during the weekend and then at the after party show. I've done these. Cause I know how difficult it sometimes is to remember if I've done 5 short LARPs in a weekend at a festival, and then like 2 months later somebody asks, which one did you do? And I'm like, oh, what, all 5 of them? Let me and now I can just like go, see, it's in the passport. And the collect them all. Like, I want all of the LARPs that Atropos does, like all of the time. Yes, please.
I think that's a very big shift when we're comparing two different LARPers. One that does a lot of chamber LARPs, and one that goes to like 1 or 2 3-day LARPs per year. Oh, I'm playing 2 characters. I've been playing the same character for the last 5 years, and that's very easy to remember. But yes, if you ask me about the 20 LARPs ago, this character that I played for 2 hours, I'm not gonna remember it as much. I don't know.
Also, part of the design is that you don't have to like log a full spread of every LARP, because some you really want to take some time to reflect because something big shifted. Some you just kind of want to remember that you've done them, or that it's an inspiration that you want to recommend to someone else, and that's why there's the Hall of Fame, and there's a simple log where it's just the very practical details of how long this LARP was and the name of it, and And also,
some you just don't remember because you didn't have a LARP passport.
And also, like a passport, if you fill it up, sometimes you need a new one, or more pages. So you can just have multiple, and you dedicated one each year if you go to that many LARPs. And you shared during before the live stream that you took a sabbatical year to really just LARP, and I cannot imagine how many LARPs that included, but that's a lot. That's a lot of immersive experiences.
Yes, it was 41. I made an Excel sheet because that includes, like, if I went to a LARP festival and I played 5 in one weekend, that counts as 5. Like if I do an evening with 2 friends, like a special from that one LARP, that still counts. So it's 41 different instances, not 41 weekends. I would not have survived that.
I'm so curious. What other columns your spreadsheet involves, apart from just the name of
I think it's a very ugly thing that nobody ever sees, that if I would have had the LARP passport, it would have been the LARP passport. But now it's an Excel sheet, and I mean, I know I'm going to disappoint some people here, but there's nothing sexy about an Excel sheet. I know some people think Excel sheets are very sexy, but
I will send this particular part to my friend Sarah, who absolutely loves spreadsheets.
I also don't agree. I think Excel sheets can be, but that doesn't fit in with my very creative look. I have a ceiling with balls on them image, so I'm trying to, like, say Excel bad, but actually I'm quite happy with my Excel sheet of my life.
It has its purpose and is highly practical.
It's understandable. Like an Excel sheet is squares. It's not spherical or ball shaped, so doesn't fit with your vibe.
You get me.
Yeah. Wow.
I want to get back to learning,
Yes.
because that's also something that I'm passionate about. I've been a facilitator for like 20 years now, and my major experience comes from that. I'm relatively new to LARP, and I'm still in my baby steps in LARPing, although it absolutely excites me, and I'm not going back to the time before LARPs. But yeah, most of my experience comes from learning and designing and facilitating workshops. And then I started introducing different types of games in there. And then I started experimenting with game design as well. And then, LARP came, and it also added another change in my life. And from my perspective, humans are learning machines. They don't stop learning. We are built for learning because it's inherent to, at least it was inherent to our survival as a species. And now we've created a lot more elaborate civilization and protecting mechanisms, so we don't need that necessarily 100% for survival, though it still contributes to that. But our creativity hasn't stopped, and it's there. And learning and creativity go hand in hand for me. But the thing is that most of learning happens implicitly. We don't really realize it until we go through some kind of reflection, some kind of realization process. And I think when it comes to a LARP, the LARP Passport is, of course, an incredible way to do that. But in general, when it comes to learning, it's when you see something from somebody else's eyes that you learn the most. So I think when you discuss, for example, a LARP experience or another experience with somebody else, using a LARP Passport in this case, or simply reflecting on that experience by talking to somebody else, it really adds to that. It really helps you realize what you've done. But LARP itself, as a way of learning, elevates that manifold, because you not only see from somebody else's eyes, you play that somebody else, and you can look inwards while playing somebody who's different than you. So that's insane for me as a transformative learning power that LARP has. But I ranted a lot, so I wanted your take on this.
Well, the wonderful thing is that if you discover that you can do something during a LARP, then most of the time you can also do it during. Oh, that's my life partner and business partner there, by the way, who's camera shy, so we'll probably flee in a bit. Yes. This is why I'm the face on the camera and on the stage, and she does like most of the quality and of the work that you see outputted through me is made by her, which is a very good way of working together. But back to the question. You could, if you find out you can do something during a LARP, you can also take that away into your real life. I think the most talked about one is public speaking. If you ask like 10 LARPers, like, is there anything that you have learned from LARP? A lot of them will say like self-confidence and public speaking are, I think, the top two. And that's because they will never do that in real life. But now they have found a safe way. They gave themselves an alibi. Oh no, my character has to do public speaking. Like, I mean, sure. And also they know that, like, oh, the people that I'm talking to probably know about playing to lift. So even if I fail, like they will help me. It's a very safe environment. And then they do it. And they discover I didn't even need to play to live. I think it was just an actual speech, and I can do that. And I do. People who've done that in front of 10 people, then do it in front of 100 people at a different LARP, and then they say, well, why not? I can do it there. Why not do it over here? And I think that's one of the reasons why LARP is really good. That you can discover things in the fiction safely using an alibi. You can experiment. You can fail, but when you finally find it within yourself, because we don't say like fake it till you make it, because that's what some people think. Oh, you're pretending to be someone else, so probably it's like fake it till you make it. We say it's not fake it till you make it, but it's finding it in yourself. You pretend to do it in different ways until you find a way that you can do it, that resonates with you, and then you can take that way into reality, into actual life.
That's a really beautiful way of putting it. I want to, since we're on the topic of transformation, I would love to ask you if you could share a story, also because this is LARP stories, of a transformation that you have either facilitated or witnessed. You know, someone went through one of your LARP experiences.
Yeah, I'll start with one myself. It's some people who might be familiar with, because it's in this KP book, and I've also shared it at the main stage of this KP when talking to 300 people as the first person up. I talked about me not being a morning person, but organization of KP putting me at the first spot of the day. But I wanted to introduce you then to this lovely fellow, and this is Kai. This is also me when I was on my sabbatical, so I had a longer beard. But this is me playing Kai. And as you can see, Kai is a criminal. Kai is not a nice man. But that's what we played. We played eco-terrorists. And the transformation that I got from Kai is that he was very quietly powerful. He was a man that wasn't bothered by ambition or trying to be. He just was like this. And he had in his head, he had this words, this mantra running of like, nobody can hurt me. Nothing can hurt me. And as you've seen by now, for me and who I am and what I have on my ceiling, my source of power, my source of energy is enthusiasm, is yes, let's go. So playing that and discovering that actually I can play, and I do have this quiet source of power, that was really mind-blowing for me. And a couple of months after that, first after the LARP, I spent time talking with other people, reflecting, not with the LARP Passport, but we should have, reflecting on the experience and what that means, and I try to separate like the criminal and the bad parts of the character from that quiet power that I found within myself. And I was able to separate those two and then like chuck the criminal part of it away and keep the quiet power. And then a couple of months later, I was hiking in the Swiss Alps, and I came across a bridge. And I'm going to paint a picture here. I spent 2.5 hours walking along cliff sides on like rickety wooden bridges that cling to the cliffside, like tiny walkways, and it was a 300-meter drop by the end of things. And I did not enjoy that because I'm afraid of heights. So I was not enjoying myself, but forward, like keeping my eyes forward, was better than going backwards, because I knew at the end there was a better way down than this. And then at one point, I come across this bridge because we needed to cross the chasm from one cliffside to the other cliffside. And it was a bridge that had one cable holding it up, just one cable. And on the floor, that was those raster work, that way you can see right through it to a 300-meter drop. And I had to cross that bridge with my fear of heights. I ran across, and it was not a pretty sight. Like I ran across, like, oh no, because like walking 2.5 hours back across like cliffside, that was even worse. So I had to go across, and I was like panting, and and then I thought, no, wait, but I have Kai. I played Kai. I have this quiet power with me. I know where it is. I'm able to summon it. So I summoned up Kai, and I walked back onto the bridge. To be fair, still clinging on to the railing, but okay. And I stood there for 20 minutes above the 300-meter drop, and I could even look down and just feel the quiet power resonating through me. And that, for me, that actually was one of the reasons why we started this company, why we wanted to have this method go out into the world more. Because like if a LARP that was not made for didactic or educational purposes has this effect on me, that I can overcome my fear of heights, that I mean, yes, then we need to spread this. And what even happens then if we start thinking about how to make it educational? And then of course I discovered EduLARP, and I discovered people were already doing that, and I was like, yes. And then we were like, oh well, then we can make it into a business and make it into a method that we can spread across the world. So that's definitely, for me, is a very personal transformational story, and I still carry him with me. And whenever I'm in a very stressful situation that I don't know how to react with, once I got threatened by some people who dinged my car, and they would start threatening me because they didn't want to pay for it, and I could just say, okay, Kai, easy. And I still use that in my everyday life.
We're all nodding and resonating. Yes,
that's really beautiful.
yes, it's a powerful story, and yeah, originally I was going to ask you, was there a particular moment or experience that made you realize the power of LARP? But this is kind of the answer to that. Yeah. And I think,
but yep.
We were all maybe quietly reflecting on, why we are so involved with LARP, and that we've all had some quiet transformation.
Yes.
That we are grateful, to LARP.
There is a topic that I wanted to touch upon maybe briefly now, because I think it's the right moment, but I would actually like to dedicate an entire stream on the topic at some point. Something that came to mind, and something that was a very pleasant surprise when I started getting involved in LARPing, is I noticed that there's a significant representation of the LGBT community in the LARP community. It's like higher than in other activities I've seen. So I was wondering why, and it may partially be because it's a safe space very often, more often than not, with safety mechanics to make it a safe space, to practice being somebody else, to practice seeing the world through different eyes, to practice being somebody without getting judged and oppressed. All these elements, I think, may play a role. And I wanted to actually ask all of you, what do you think is the reason? Because I'm convinced that it has to do with the transformative nature of LARPing.
Yeah, I've talked about it with some people. I don't think it's that much of the last one, because everyone's experience is the same, and a lot of I know a lot of like queer people that don't have the feeling of oppression personally. But I do think it is the like a person that has gone against the norm of what the society is terms as this is what a normal person looks like. They have already gone through the process of like introspection, like, oh, how do I feel? How is this more? Is this me? Is this what I like? Is this character that is given to me by this society? Is this what is representing me? Or should I try something else? Or should I portray myself as something else? I think this is the biggest part, meaning that those people are more easy to and more accepting by the idea of like, oh, let me try to be something different. Because from having to run LARPs for complete beginners many times, for sure some people that their main issue is that it does not their cup of tea, and that's completely understandable. But a lot of people struggle with the concept of, oh, I'm going to be someone else. I'm not gonna do an improv bit for 1 minute. I need to become this person for a bit.
Yeah, I think it also has to do with trying it out. Like Manu says, like we have these norms, and in a LARP you can just like try them out gently. And I know what the first time that one of my characters, who was at that time was a cis male, tried on a dress for the first time, and we played that out. Like I borrowed my character borrowed a dress from a female character, and I remember looking in the mirror as that character, and I don't know what like the character was so elated seeing himself in a dress for the first time, to just take a tiny step in exploring that. And that was not something that we planned. This was a campaign LARP. It was just something that happened, and other people like jumped on and started helping him, and it was like so amazing that after was like, oh, I mean, it's so cool that I can just do that, and I can now research my identity, and also I'm not constrained, to one identity, like either this or that, which is a lot of what the norm is. But then you learn about queerness. It can be everything. And you can just explore what your version of everything is, like your little hole of everything, not a cubicle, not a box, but your little ball. That's it. And I think that's what LARP gives you. It gives you the potential to just explore and find your particular flavor of who even are you.
Beautiful. Jennifer, your take?
I feel like I agree with what you initially said. And also we're all agreeing basically that it creates the safety for, yeah, imagination and courage, right? And yeah, I wish I knew LARP younger, right? And maybe we all wish that. But it's never too late. So that's probably why we're doing what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, a direction from that I find interesting is once you deconstruct some parts, like, oh, I can see myself, or I can imagine myself as a person that can be very different. I have had trouble playing characters that are the opposite, that are like very in the not necessarily in the status quo, but very dismissive of this fluidity, this understanding the other perspective. While I didn't have a trouble going the other end, the opposite direction from there. And I don't know exactly why that is.
We should definitely dedicate an entire stream on this discussion. It can go deeper and deeper and deeper. If I can gently take it out, or Jennifer, you wanted to say something more?
Well, I kind of had another question for Gijs about live action learning. What is your wildest dream or vision for the future of live action learning? Is there like a dream? Not really a project, or yeah. Well, what comes up when you hear me ask you that?
Yeah. So we talked about abbreviating live action learning to LUL, and that LUL is like, it doesn't sound like anything, which is because when we started thinking of this, actually a nice little story, when we finally hit upon the name of my new company, then my partner said, wait, this is so important. Like, why is this your company? This is going to be our company. And actually, because of the name that we thought of, she was like, no, this is not something you are going to do. It's something we are going to do. And that name was not Live Action Learning. It was very close, but it was the Live Action Learning Institute, LALI. And I think that still is the dream for us personally, to like put forward live action learning as a method to a lot of people, also outside of the LARP community. People who have never heard about LARP certainly go, yes, but I want that emotion and that embodiedness in my learning, and we want to see if we can have LARPing as a LARP of learning through LARP as a method go wildly out there. So which is why in 1 year or two, or when we think like us calling ourselves an institute is no longer arrogant, it's just reality, then we will call ourselves the Live Action Learning Institute, that has the mission to like put embodied and embedded learning out there, to put emotive learning out there, to put LARPing as a learning method into lots of hands and bodies and minds in the world.
May I ask, maybe this will help you feel like you're actually closer to your dream than you thought. What is a project so far that, like, for non-LARPers that you have brought it to, that that was surprisingly that it worked?
I'm tempted to then immediately talk about the United Nations, which was our first the first project that we did, but also the project that if you would have asked like what would you want to achieve in 10 years time, I would have like described exactly that. But then that was like the reason why we started the company, because then I had a Dutch name. We started brainstorming about an international one. We came on this and we started a company. But you can read about, I've done some blogs also on NordicLARP.org about the United Nations. So if you want to look at that, the United Nations and LARP, or maybe we'll put the link in here. But one other thing that I did recently.
Feel free to give us a blurb. It seems like quite a milestone.
So we did a 2-day serious LARP, 2-day live action learning with 30 chiefs of staff at the United Nations. So that's like the head of security, the head of events, the head of purchasing, and those kind of people, to talk about overcoming bureaucracy. And we had them play out parents of very, very cute kids, of very like amazingly too perfect kids, that the parents wanted to start a new school for their wonderful children, that the LARP, the live action learning, was also called For the Children. And then we had the bureaucracy, in this case, the school inspection headed by the school inspector general, who threw every like little bit of like bureaucracy in their way, and they constantly had to come up with new ways to overcome the bureaucracy while thinking of the children. So that's what we did. For 2 days, we got an entire school to play with. We got 25 people, because the head of facilitation was in our workshop. So we got 25 people to like design the entire school just exactly the way that we wanted it to. So it was just a dream project, and that was the first ever project for the company.
Amazing.
Well, I do see opportunities for collaboration instantly, and I would love to have to elevate that experience further and further. And I would also like the Live Action Learning Institute to be, I imagine already wardrobes full of LARP passports and stuff. But it's go ahead, Jennifer.
I don't think it's a distant dream.
No, I mean, it's like distant, like 2 months away. It's a really good segue to the other things I wanted to talk about. Last week we had Alessandro Giovannucci from Chaos League, and apart from LARPing in general, there's something else that you have in common. In March, you're co-organizing the EduLARP conference in Oslo, right?
That's
Which
correct.
is part of the what's it called? A week of LARPing. I forget the full name.
It's always called a week in, and then the place where it's happening. So a week in Gothenburg will be it. But that's the week before Knutepunkt, because there will be 400 or 500, 600 people at the Knutepunkt, and the weekend, and we have all kinds of different things like a symposium on art and LARP. But yes, the EduLARP conference will be a part of that. I think for the 15th time this year, something like that.
Long-standing. Yes.
Yes.
But you want to say a few words more for those who don't know what an EduLARP conference is?
Well, basically, it's a lot of it's an amazing conference because everyone there wants to go know more about LARP and learning from it. We had people from Singapore attending last year, talking about what they did with government officials. We have people from the US, from all over the world. They go there and they talk about the wonderful projects that they have been doing in schools, in universities, in professional life, for NGOs, and all of that. And not just the people presenting, but just everyone there wants to add something to the world through LARP with the power of learning. And I think we had 60 people last year, and of course this year we're going to have much more. Everyone on the stream, I don't know how many are going to join us as well this year. And it's just an amazing time because everyone is there for the same thing. Which elevates the energy in the room enormously.
Exciting.
So I'll see you there, I guess.
Yes, come to Gothenburg.
Awesome.
Earlier in my question, I had a feeling, Gijs, that you wanted to share something else. I want to give space if you, in case you felt it's still in you, that you would like to share it.
Yeah, I'll share it quickly because I thought I already wrote up something about the UN, so let's not say that again. But it is like a dream project, even if the dream already came true. But one other thing is that we use this for big groups and for very small groups. We use live action learning for speaking. So to give keynotes, and 2 weeks ago I was in front of 350 learning and development specialists, and I made them into their curious version of them. So one-dimensional characters that were focused on curiosity, so they could always access their curiosity. And I love that we have 350 people in the room at the same time that we can do that with. But also, and that's also where my partner comes in, we do one-on-one coaching, or actually two-on-one coaching, because you get her as a coach and me as the play coach. Doing some acting with you, and then in that coaching we will work on that one thing that you really want to have, one quality that's really difficult for you to put into practice, and we'll work on that, and we'll do a LARPing session with you, 2-on-1, to make you feel that and then give that. And that's what I like, is that this is it doesn't matter where it's 1,000 people or it's one person. Learning through LARP has power, and you can put in that power.
Beautiful motto.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like a closing moment already.
That was a Kai moment.
Yeah. Chiming in towards the end. Before we wrap it up, we should absolutely say that it's kind of the last chance that you have to get your LARP passport, at least if you want the extra special perks that you can only get with this campaign. So you have 2 more days to get your LARP passport on Backer Kit. I will post the link once again in the YouTube comments so you can know where to go and just with one click get it. We mentioned before the last, not the last, what do you call it? The last in the row of the pledges is the one that is called the Legacy Pack. And with that, you get not only 30 LARP passports, but you also get a custom stamp. So you can get your own logo in a stamp that you can share with others. That's a cool thing to have.
Yeah, I've waited until this moment to hit back this. So I've done it now, and as soon as we're done, I will fill in all of my details, and I'll definitely get both me and my partner a LARP passport, because like you cannot stand on one leg, so I need at least 2 of them.
That's amazing.
Well, is there any further announcements before we close the stream? And thank you, everyone. From Gijs, on your side, well, we've already shared the upcoming events. And if you're curious, we will also send links, live action learning in the stream, so you can check out all the amazing experiences, services that you offer. Then
thank you so much for coming here with us.
It's been a very
Thank you very much for having me, but also for having like a great conversation and to make great stories happen. And thank you for making LARP Passport happen. And I am sure that people, like, how much do we need? Like a couple of €100. I'm sure people here will like make sure that you get over the hump and it becomes a reality.
Amazing.
Very touching. Thank you.
So that is good words to finish on. So 2 more days to go. Get your LARP passports, and you will also stay up to date. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we're definitely going to keep doing the streams even after the campaign. We started this as a way to promote the campaign, but it's a super enjoyable experience. So we're going to keep on going. Why not? Right?
It's a great way to try to inspire guests. Yes. Well,
bye-bye.
And everyone, thank you for tuning in.
You cannot imagine how